Up on the screen. We'll get going here today. We are at 3 weeks left. We are running out of time. Let's see. We got intrusion detection systems now. We're done with the lessons we had. I believe. Let me check the grade screen here. Yeah, we're done with the module 3. We just had the assignments, no quiz at the end. We got 3 weeks of intrusion detection systems. Although this is Alora's last week, she's a senior, so she'll have this one lesson, and then next week she'll be done. So let's go to 4.01, intrusion detection. That's a big thing, intrusion detection. It's like someone gets into your system. You need to know it. You need to be able to detect that before they do a lot of damage. So what do you think of when you hear the term intrusion detection system? You might envision sirens and flashing emergency lights, alerting some network administrator to a security breach. But usually it's not that dramatic. An intrusion detection system is usually software or hardware that is used to monitor network traffic and alert an administrator to a possible intruder, because it doesn't know for sure if that person's supposed to be able to be in there. So here's a video that will show how IDS alerts admins to possible security breaches. So let me reload this page because it's supposed to be a video there. Well, it's not even going to load the video. I think the video is lost or something there. There's the text version, so we can see that at least. There's people who want to do harm, using the latest technology to infiltrate your data and steal your company's valuable resources. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to learn how an intrusion detection system can protect your company. So this is a device or software application that monitors a network for malicious activity, policy violations. Intrusion activity is reported to an administrator with an alert. An IDS can be used for a single computer or for large networks. So it could just alert one person or multiple people. Unlike firewalls, IDS simply provides alerts. It doesn't stop anything. It's not a prevention thing. It just lets you know. Cybersecurity professionals rely on intrusion detective systems. Much of their monitoring and alerting data comes from this system. When alerts received, then it's time for action. The system administrator can act on the alert to secure the system, prevent unauthorized people or actions before they happen. So none of it would be possible without the intrusion detection system. It's a valuable tool to help protect and fortify an organization's data security plan. So there we go. Page 2. Okay, an IDS can analyze and monitor network traffic for signs or anomalies. Let's see how they define anomalies. Actions or objects that deviate from what is standard, normal, or expected. That indicates attackers are using a known cyber threat to penetrate or steal sensitive information from a system. So an IDS compares the current network activity to a known threat database to detect violations, malware, and port scanners. So the primary purpose is to detect intrusions, log suspicious events, send alerts. And once an intrusion is detected, the system will notify a person in authority. That person, usually an administrator, reviews the results and determines what actions are needed. Did you know Snort? Snort. That's one of the most widely used intrusion detective systems. It actually entered the Open Source Hall of Fame as one of the greatest pieces of open source software of all time. So open source is software that programmers write, and they don't copyright it. They don't sell it. They just freely give that code out to everyone to use. A lot of times, if you have some program that you think benefits society so much, you don't want it to be limited, you can make it open source and everyone can use it without having to pay any copyright fees or anything. So it's in the Open Source Hall of Fame because if you have something like that, be great to allow everyone to use that and not limit that because we're trying to fight hackers. Because it's open source and freely available, it's a popular choice to detect emerging threats. Snort can be used on most Unix or Linux operating systems and Windows. So, used a lot because it is freely out there. All right, let's look at the IDS components. There's three main logical components: sensors, analyzers, and the user interface. So the sensors, they're responsible for collecting data. They receive input from any part of a system that could contain evidence of an intrusion. That includes network packets, log files, system call traces. And it collects and forwards this to the analyzer. All right, so this is collecting data all the time. The sensor is every time someone's doing something, but it's the analyzer that is going to determine if this is an intrusion or if this is just normal network traffic. So it gets input from one or more sensors. It could be multiple sensors or from other analyzers. It may provide guidance about what actions to take as a result of the intrusion. If it knows what the intrusion is, it may tell you the way to deal with it. The user interface lets the user view the output from the system or control it. It could be controlled by a manager, director, or console component. They misspelled manager. They said manger. Controlled by a manger, director, or console component. And this sentence just ended without the rest of the sentence. Somebody was tired when they were typing this or trying to do too many things at one time. IDS requirements. So a DDoS attack, the denial of service there, or other large-scale intrusion attempt can be very damaging, costly. A 2019 cyber attack cost the city of Atlanta $2.7 million. Could have been stopped if there was a stronger intruder detection system. An IDS typically sends major issue alerts using email or priority text messages. These types of real-time notifications eliminate the need for someone to sit and stare at monitors. So they can do other stuff, and then this alert will pop up and let them know they need to look at that. So here's some key requirements. One thing, it should run independently. It must run continually with minimal supervision. So it should be set up to run all the time. It must be able to recover if the system crashes or reinitializes. If the system reboots, this should automatically be able to recover from that and start running again without someone having to go and do that. Because if the power goes off in the middle of the night, power comes back on, system reboots, the IDS must be able to automatically reboot itself. Must be self-monitoring and able to detect if it has been modified by an attacker. Maybe the attacker is trying to modify the intrusion detection system so they can cover their tracks. Must have minimal dependence on the system where it's running because it's trying to monitor that system. And must be affected as little as possible if some of its components stop working. All right, the flexibility. It can scale to monitor several hosts, so it doesn't have to just be limited to one. Can be configured to the security policies of the system being monitored. Is able to adapt to changes in the system and user behavior over time. Just sometimes the way you use your network, that'll change. So it should be able to adapt and not throw alerts every time somebody does anything. Includes dynamic reconfiguration, or if that's the ability to be reconfigured without having to be restarted. Because in that moment that it's being restarted, you could have a hacker getting into your system and you may miss it. So you should be able to reconfigure it without having to take it down. Not all intrusion detective systems are 100% secure. Nothing is, unfortunately. In 2020, suspected Russian government hackers gained access to U.S. government agencies, critical infrastructure entities, and private sector organizations that were using the network monitoring software known as SolarWinds Orion. They found a vulnerability in there, and everybody that was using that, they were able to get in. Malicious code was injected into Orion between March and June, allowing hackers believed to be with the Russian intelligence service, or APT-29, to compromise Microsoft and FireEye, as well as the U.S. Department of Defense, State Treasury, Homeland Security, and Commerce. So sometime between March and June. Always got to be on the lookout. All right, here's our last page. Oh, it's a knowledge check. There's a hidden image if we match the right things up here. All right, let's see. Something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. That should be anomalies. Yeah, anomalies there. Let's see. Software or hardware that monitors network traffic and alerts to a possible intruder. We'll click on that.
IDS.
Yeah, that's what this whole lesson's been about. It's the IDS. So. Let's see. Determine if a security breach has taken place. Well, that's not going to be the interface. Not going to be the sensors. That should be the analyzers. Yeah, analyzers. Let's see. Allows the user to view the network traffic logs.
User interface.
User interface. I agree. Sensors, analyzers, and user interface. Well, that's obviously the three components, which means our sensors collect the data traffic data. Great job. Oh, that's our little reward there, the reward photo. So, all right, that's the last page of that IDS. Very important part of our whole cybersecurity system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. All right, man. Well, that's pretty short and sweet. This is an A day, so I'll be here Wednesday and Friday. You got an A in the class, things going well. But if you have anything you want to talk about, any questions, come on by. We'll see you next week, Dallin. Ow! What? I just need a ride. I just wanted a little ride. That's all I needed. Come on, Big D. Come on. What is it? What?
Painting.
I just wanted to go to the wedding. That's all I wanted to do.